It's time to stop. Look, I'm all for live and let live. I really am. I've always lived that way and I'm not going to change that. But this is going beyond live and let live. This is going to a level of not just normalizing, but almost worshiping to this new leftist weird obsession, and that is with biological men who pretend to be biological women. In this particular case, Dylan Mulvaney again today appeared on the Drew Barrymore show, and she literally kneeled before him. Uh, so I suppose the patriarchy wins again. Dylan Mulvaney, I believe, is a failed comedian who found a niche here and figured out how to get super rich doing it. I don't know that for a fact. Certainly, they've figured that out, that they can ride this to fame. But what happened today on the Drew Barrymore show is just something I've got to point out. Now, many people have criticized Dylan Mulvaney, both on the left and the right, for essentially the word for it is woman face. And it's happening everywhere. Just like the kind of coordinated attack on women's only spaces, women's only sports. Now we have this thing where men are apparently the best women out there. Biological men are the best women out there. I don't have anything personally against Dylan Mulvaney wanting to live their life the best that they can, or if they feel like, having these surgeries and they want to spend their own money on it, they're an adult. I don't have any problem with it. Where I have a problem with it is when it's getting pumped into everyone's homes via, kids are watching it all on TikTok and they're seeing, oh, this person had facial reconstructive surgery to look like a woman and now they're super famous. Or they're on, various talk shows getting worship. Now, famously, Matt Walsh had a very viral, scathing criticism for Dylan Mulvaney, one that many people agreed with, and some wondered if it went too far. But I think with the more that this stuff starts to happen, is the more that people are going to agree with that, because the live and let live stuff isn't working. You see here, TikTok star and transgender rights activist Dylan Mulvaney says, the greatest weapon in combating online mean words is celebrating trans joy. And then there are a few spots sunnier than the Drew Barrymore show, where the 26-year-old stopped by Mondays to chat about her 365 days girlhood journey. Again, Dylan Mulvaney is a biological male and will never be a biological woman. This is a medical fact. Right? Do you hear that, Susan? Mulvaney was documenting the details of her ongoing transition, which, as far as I know, only had some very minor plastic surgery done. That's as far as I know. Maybe there's more. As far as I know, the kibbles and bits are still intact, and certainly this person has plenty of money to do that. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But it said, host Drew Barrymore asked Mulvaney about some of the unexpected advice she received from Laverne Cox. She said, to keep things private for myself, and I couldn't agree more. Mulvaney replied, adding that there were a few moments this year where I was like, was I really actually ready to say that? But now, since meeting her and having that moment go, okay, what would Laverne do? Barrymore and Mulvaney also shared their strategies for dealing with criticism. At one point, the host even shifted the conversation from chairs to the ground. In Barrymore's words, the floor always feels safer. The actress said that she was first introduced to film reviews with her E.T. movie back in 1982. I felt like all these reviews, and it could be Charlie's Angels, it could be E.T., it could be The Wedding Singer, everything in between. If you read reviews, just like on social media, you're pretty much guaranteed 50-50. Some people like it, some people don't. Barrymore explains, so you've got to be willing to bear down and brace for it. Mulvaney, who counts Lady Gaga among her high-profile supporters, admitted that she does still read the comments. And there's so much hated directed at the trans community right now. She continued, I think the greatest weapon I have to contribute is trans joy and comedy, and talking about the hard subjects and really intricate moments of transition. Well, look, I think, again, you go do whatever it is that you want to do, but I have a problem with mainstream media worshiping you for it. I don't think that you are quote unquote living your best life here. I think that you are completely engaged in woman face and using that to invade women's space. I mean, here you have Drew Barrymore literally kneeling before. Literally kneeling. If you look at Twitter, right? It's either here's Savannah Hernandez, shout out Savannah. Drew Barrymore has been an embarrassment for years. Now she's kneeling to the man that making a mockery of the entire female gender. Incredible. You say, wow, Drew Barry on her knees bowing for a man. How feminist of her. Drew Barrymore getting on her knees to worship at the feet of Dylan Mulvaney might be one of the most disturbing moments on recent TV. Why are women fawning all over this man who appropriate denigrating caricature of womanhood? Nina Finney, this is pure cringe. I can't believe Drew Barrymore is just enabling this. You hear Xavier Du Rosau. Sorry, mispronounced your name, bud. Does Drew Barrymore not realize she's literally on her hands and knees for a man? The patriarchy wins again. I mean, you just have like, I don't really know exactly, say it isn't so. Drew Barrymore kneels. I get it's so weird. Drew Barrymore gets down on her knees to embrace Dylan Mulvaney after Dylan peddled a sob story about how hard it was being a woman. I mean, what happened to like lifting up actual females, biological females, when you're talking about, how difficult it can be? Certainly biological females still have a struggle, right? This photo is honestly disturbing. A woman fawning all over a man in woman face who mocks women and uses them to make money. Is this how sad society's become? Drew Barrymore should interview a real woman and not a fake one who's a mockery and a disgrace. The only person you see like having a breakdown about is this Krasenstein guy. What cringe mockery. I thought they were starting to singing Beauty School Dropout or some other corny stuff. I mean, like, I don't get it. Dylan Mulvaney crying in the Drew Barrymore show about how hard it is being a woman. It's just, I guess like, I got nothing against Drew Barrymore. But like, you have a lot of people who, view this as selling women out, and it's, I think there's a lot of actual merit to that. See, this is Drew Barrymore. Dear Mrs. Barrymore, I know that you've had a difficult childhood. It's very public knowledge that you suffered from addiction. You're sent to rehab, blah, blah, blah. It's also public knowledge that, you had a hard time when you were young, sending yourself back to rehab. But then they write, you must understand that this man at whose feet you kneel hates women, and that includes you. He makes a mockery of us with his parody of womanhood. Surely you can see that. What you may not know is that it's nothing you do will ever change his hatred of us. It's baked into him. No amount of kneeling, no amount of preferred pronouns will ever change how much he hates us. There are women who understand these things much more than you yet do. When you see things clearly, find us. We'll be here for you. This is written by a feminist. Until then, I wish you nothing but the best. I mean, like, the idea that, now I suppose everyone will call this person a trans exclusionary, the whole show is a mockery. I just, the whole idea that, look, again, this person is fine. Dylan Mulvaney can live his life however he wants to, or whatever the case is there. But, ultimately, I don't believe that Dylan Mulvaney is even trans. I don't believe that. I believe that Dylan Mulvaney found a great loophole to make a ton of money with some minor surgeries. That's what I believe. No actual woman acts anything like what Dylan Mulvaney acts like. Dylan Mulvaney is not an entertainer. Dylan Mulvaney is mocking women. Yet this person meets with the president. Dylan Mulvaney gets to meet with the president of the United States to talk about important issues like Barbie pockets and things like that. And again, I try to stay away from, the idea that this person is just being used, by the way. It's sad. I don't have any hatred for Dylan Mulvaney. I feel bad for Dylan Mulvaney I feel very bad. Like, whatever is going on in their head, you know, it's just being they're being used, and they're being fed, you know, with profit by getting flown out here and there. You got to meet the president. I'll never meet the president, right? So, you know, and all this money from makeup companies and all this stuff, they're only doing it to make money off Dylan Mulvaney. They don't actually, they won't hang out with them. They won't, you know, like, this is some of the most, like, hilarious, the most hilarious part about this is that, you know, the amount of misogyny involved in this, like how many men now are just, you know, you see, even undertaking the drastic, quote, feminization surgery in order to look more like a biological woman. Mulvaney recently complained to people that even though the social media star feels like somebody who should not be single, men seem spectacularly disinterested. I'm getting a little impatient because, especially when you're feeling yourself and everyone's looking at that Grammys picture, I'm like, that's somebody who should be single, not somebody who should be single, Mulvaney told people. But then you're like, wait, why is nobody in my DMs? So Dylan Mulvaney's having a sad because no one wants to hook up with them. I think it's because people know the truth. Even people who would normally be interested in a trans individual knows that likely Dylan Mulvaney is not trans, in my opinion. I don't know this for a fact, but what it is, it's a mockery of women, and it continues to get embraced by morning television, social media, and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, you know, young girls are growing up there. They get to choose between a man and woman face, or a woman who sings about WAP. That's the role models they have right now. Lord help them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.